Is church a place to find a life partner? Church. I don't know why I'm laughing, but that question is a bit dicey. You can find your life partner anywhere, church, but these days, finding a life partner in church is very dicey, because the devil these days now, they are not in church. They are in church. If we're supposed to analyze churches of today is where a lot of people go to hide. A lot of sinners just go there to hide. Most people use churches to cover up. Some people want to go to church to pretend to be a good girl. Some people want to go to church so that people will think that they are closer to heaven. So finding a life partner in church, you have to be a bit more depth. You shouldn't use what they do in church to judge them just because they are choir mistresses, or because they are ushers, or because they are close to pastor, or because they can speak in tongue. No, that should not be the criteria to you marrying them. It doesn't make them close to heaven just because they provide a certain service in church. Because a lot of men get carried away when they hear a woman singing in the choir. I don't know whether you think the woman wants to come and be singing for you when you get married to her, or you see a woman being an usher. Some men automatically feels that because she's an usher and she's very good at the door, when I marry her, she'll be very submissive. Men are very funny when it comes to thinking sometimes. No, if you want to marry somebody in church, because people who are in church are also human beings. So it will be very wrong of me to just judge or to just generalize. But I'm going to say you shouldn't use their services in church to judge them as marryable women. Do you understand? Their services in church is different, and their services as your wife is also going to be different. That's why we're having so many problems in so many marriages today, where a lot of women are so committed in church, even more than their marriages. Their pastors is their daddy in the Lord. The way they worship their pastors, they don't even give their husbands as half respect as that. That's one disadvantage when you marry a church girl that feels her life is dedicated to church. So if you're a man and you want to marry in church, or you're a woman and you want to marry in church, you need to look out from the things that you have seen in church. That cliche, that, oh, he's a pastor, oh, he prays, oh, he speaks in tongue. No, you're not going to marry him because of that. You should be able to know him outside church, outside those things he do in church. Because a lot of people pretend when they get to a certain place. A lot of people respect themselves when they get to a certain place. So we should focus more on who they are behind closed doors. Yes, that's their real personality, not their public personality. Their personal personality, because that's what you're going to live with in marriage. You're not going to live with the choir mistress, because she will not be singing for you. When you guys are married, she won't be singing for you, or he won't be, speaking in tongues with you when you guys are married. So you should look beyond the services they give in church. So I think you can find a life partner in church, but don't judge them with the church duties or the church positions that they have. And number two, the reason why I'm not I'm not a churchy person, or I don't even recommend church girls or church boys, is because a lot of people who go to church are emotionally lazy. Emotionally lazy is most people who go to church have forgotten how to use their brains, right? They don't think, they don't reason, they just feel that God is going to do magic. A lot of religious people are people who feel that manners have to fall from heaven. So they pray without work. I see a lot of them as noisemakers. Religion has made so many people emotionally lazy. You see them, they don't want to work, they just want to stay in church and be praying from year to year, making noise. And most churchy people who are religious men and women, in marriage, they tend not to put in work. Sorry to say, if this is going to offend a lot of people, but this is my own ideology and what I have observed. A lot of churchy people don't put in work. They just pray to God. Yes, a lot of churchy people don't communicate. They just pray. They don't talk. Any small thing, let us go and pray to God. Let us go and pray to God. Oh God, you're married to me now. Let us talk. So they have become so emotionally lazy. They don't know how to communicate. They always want to communicate to God, but they cannot communicate to their wife. So it makes the marriage very boring, because a lot of religious people lack communication. They hide under the Bible. They hide under that religion and don't want to do the basic things about marriage. You tell your husband, baby, let us enjoy sex. He's telling you that Jesus said. Baby, let us do this in bed. He's telling you that God said. So a lot of religious people don't know how to separate religion from marriage. They don't know how to merge the both of them. So they bring that their religious drama to the marriage. So it makes the marriage a bit boring. Because in the realistic part of it, a lot of religious people don't enjoy their marriage. Some of them are just there because of Jesus. Some of them are just there because of society. But most religious people don't enjoy marriage because they carry religion even more than the Bible. You know, when you hear most of them say some certain things, you're like, are you kidding me? I can imagine what this person is doing with his wife and with her wife. So I'm not a party to religious people because they're emotionally lazy. They don't want to think. They don't want to communicate. They don't want to use their brains. They just want to be shouting Jesus, 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 Jesus. You know, religion is different from Christianity. A lot of people are religious. They don't even know what the Bible is talking about. Christians are different from religious people. Christians are people who understand and study the Bible. A lot of people are just going to church. They don't even know what the Bible says. That's the truth. They just go to church and carry the Bible everywhere. They don't even read the Bible that they carry. So that's why I said you need to be able to look beyond who they are in church and know their personal lives. You get involved with them so that you don't get into the marriage and your marriage becomes a sham. You understand? So that's all I have to say about religious people. And number 3, a lot of religious people don't know the Bible. They don't read Bibles. They just go with what their pastor said. Most religious people just go with the ideologies of their pastors. That's just the crazy part. So you see a lot of religious people, when you see them have conversations, you're like, is this person actually a Christian? Does this person actually know what he or she is saying? So you see that most of these religious people who go to church don't even read their Bibles. So that's the reason why you're going to marry a girl that is going to church and you marry her and she's like, and you're like, why is she like this? Is because she doesn't read the Bible. She doesn't even know what the Bible says about marriage. She's just a church goer. She's just a choir mistress. She's just an usher. She just knows how to usher people into church, but she doesn't read her Bible. So she doesn't even know the basic things about marriage. So if you want to marry a church person, you need to look beyond church. Don't just think that because somebody is going to church, she's a good girl or she's a good woman, or because somebody is going to church, he's a good man. No. Gone are those days when men are so ignorant to think that because you're a church girl, you're a good girl. No, you have to shine your eye. Look beyond church. Look beyond what they do in church and look at their personal life, what they can do, what they have learned. You understand? Before you make that decision of wanting to marry them. Church these days is you know, I'm trying so hard not to offend the religious people because even on this video they are going to come for me and come and cry. Bless him, don't say that. God, say God. Because a lot of churchy people lack understanding. They don't even listen. So you will see most of them, they will still come on this video and still say, oh, bless him, you don't blah blah. They did not pay attention. So a lot of religious people don't pay attention. They just want to talk. They'll be telling you the Bible say. If you now ask them, okay, what did the Bible say? Most of them don't know jack about the Bible. That's the truth about it. And most religious people are so judgmental. They used to make it look as if they are the only ones that will make heaven. They don't even know anything about heaven. You'll be hearing believer, unbeliever, brother, sister. Who is a believer? Believer is somebody that believes in the same thing that your pastor is preaching. Not Bible. Because even if I believe in the same Bible and I'm not going to your church and I'm not believing the same thing your pastor is preaching, I'm a non-believer to you. So a lot of them don't even know the meaning of being a believer. They think believer is when we go to the same church, when we share the same pastors, because every pastor have different interpretations of the Bible. Everybody will come and interpret their own and speak their own English. Their members will say, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. So when you don't go to the same church and you don't say oh yes to what their pastors say oh yes to, you are not a believer. In fact, you're going to hellfire. You're a sinner. You're going to burn, and the hellfire is going to burn you and burn your body and your garnishing soul. So a lot of religious people actually feel more superior than you. That's one problem that they have. If there's this superiority they used to feel, yes, they feel like they'll make heaven more than us. They'll get there before us. So sometimes I actually dread having conversations with religious people because religious people don't pay attention. If you don't just believe in what they believe in, forget it. They will argue, they will fight. That's why I'm telling you, if you want to marry a religious person, a church goer, you need to pay attention because these are always the issues when you marry them. If you don't believe in their God, you don't believe in their pastor, their ideology, there will always be a problem in the marriage. Because if you want to say anything or you want to counter what their pastor said, hey, you dare not disagree with their pastor. Whatever what their pastor is saying, they can't even have conversation because a religious person don't reason. That's why I said they are always emotionally lazy. They take everything verbatim, and a religious person don't confirm. Confirmation simply means somebody tells you something and you have the Bible. Because they don't read the Bible, so they don't confirm. They just take everything verbatim. There are some chapters of the Bible that I'm going to post. Now people are going to be like, There was a chapter of the Bible I posted on my page where God said not everybody's going to get married. I was so shocked. Some people were saying, you don't know the part. Some people were even saying that it's not in the Bible. There was a part in the Bible, I think I put it on my page. Go and check for it. Where the Bible said not everybody will marry. When I put out that stuff on my page, people came to argue. Some people said it was not in the Bible. People practically had to start Googling it to show them that it was in the Bible. And when they were arguing, I was like, so these people are this ignorance. Okay, look at it. Matthew 19:11-21. But Jesus said, not everyone is matured enough to live a married life. It requires a certain aptitude and grace. Marriage isn't for everyone. Some people came and said it's a lie, it's not in the Bible. And I'm like, wow. Because your pastor did not preach that part, automatically it's a lie. And there's so many things in the Bible that religious people do not even know. There are so many things about sexual intercourse in the Bible that religious people don't know. So it is only what their pastor tell them. That's why I said a lot of religious people are emotionally lazy. They don't reason, they don't think. And when you marry people who are emotionally lazy, it's a work, because you practically have to teach them everything. And people who are emotionally lazy do not want to learn. That's the laziness. Their emotion is so lazy. They want to stick with those annoying, archaic things that they don't want to unlearn and relearn. So it becomes a problem in the marriage and the relationship. To teach them is work. To learn from them is work. So there's always a back and forth. And every time they're calling Jesus, Jesus. If you want to talk to them, Jesus. You want to, they will not be making you look like a bad thing. Any smart thing, they are praying. Let us talk. You want to pray. If we don't talk, how will it work? So, with this viewpoint of mine, guys, I hope I've given you guys a tip. So when you want to marry that church girl and that church boy, because shine your eye, they don't run your street, because church people these days, they all pass yahoo 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 yahoo. They will kill me on this video. Church people, sorry the church become balao iwe when no tapo me in a video. Sorry.